Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. It was the 5th year of my engagement with Felix. He secretly held a wedding with a college girl. When I arrived, they were passionately kissing amidst the cheers of the crowd. Felix saw me, raised his eyebrow lightly and said, "The little girl wanted a wedding. Don't worry, we didn't sign the papers." I didn't cry or make a scene. I just turned and left. He thought I was just throwing a tantrum until the rich young master flaunted a marriage certificate. During the pouring rain, Felix went crazy knocking on my door. I opened the door, my face still flushed. "Don't worry, I just signed the papers. We didn't get married." Calvin, dressed only in a towel, came down from upstairs and wrapped his arms around my waist so I don't count. The wedding scene was lively. The guests below encouraged the newlyweds to kiss. The girl in a wedding dress looked shy. Felix's hand cupped the back of her head and deepened the kiss little by little. I stared blankly at the two passionately kissing on the stage. Felix's good friend turned around, saw me, panicked and shouted, "Tiffany!" The next moment, the previously lively atmosphere instantly quieted down. I walked towards Felix. The young girl clumsily tried to hide behind him. Felix showed no embarrassment at being caught by his bride-to-be. He jokingly embraced the young girl behind him and playfully said, "She insisted on marrying me, but don't worry, we didn't sign the papers. You're the only woman for me." Felix and I grew up together as childhood sweethearts. We got engaged after graduation, as arranged by our families. He was known as a playboy in our circle, constantly changing girlfriends, making me lose face. I gave him a faint smile and took a square brocade box from my bag. "This is the bracelet your family passed down to the daughter-in-law. Here, take it." Felix took it, examined it in his hand, and chuckled sarcastically. "Are you bringing out the bracelet now just to break up with me?" Seeing the disbelief in his eyes, I said, "Felix, from today our engagement is off. From now on we go our separate ways." Felix's face changed instantly. "Tiffany, say that again." His good friend standing beside him realized things were about to get messy. He quickly stepped forward and said, "Calm down. This wedding doesn't count. Felix is just fooling around. The one he'll actually marry is you." Witnessing my fiance marrying another woman in such a spectacle, I didn't cry or make a scene. I calmly turned and left. "Felix, go after Tiffany quickly," I said. Felix was very confident. "Why go after her? She's pulled this stunt before. She'll come back in a few days. You never made a big fuss before. No woman can accept their beloved marrying someone else. I advise you to go and see me." Felix glanced towards the door, his dark eyes squinting. Sherry suddenly tugged at his clothes. "Can I see this bracelet?" Leaving the wedding scene, I called my best friend Coco to meet at a bar for a drink. When she arrived, she saw 2 empty wine bottles and asked, "What's going on? Did you fight with Felix again? Did he find a new star or college girl this time?" After I told her everything, Coco picked up a wine bottle, ready to smash that scumbag. "You should have dumped him a long time ago. Let me introduce you to some guys, all the best ones in our circle. You can take your time to see." My phone suddenly started buzzing incessantly. Within a minute, over 30 people added me. I went to the restroom. In the corridor, a man wearing a suit, completely out of place here, with a few buttons undone on his shirt collar, leaned against the wall smoking, looking somewhat intimidating. During my gaze, he frowned and looked over. "Calvin? What's he doing here?" I walked over and smiled lightly. "Calvin, can I have a smoke?" He raised an eyebrow. "I thought you became a good girl after being with Felix. Aren't you afraid he'll find out you smoke?" I didn't say a word. He leaned closer with a very teasing tone and said, "Heard he had a grand wedding with another woman today, so you and him are done?" I reached for the cigarette and lighter. After lighting it skillfully, I exhaled a puff of smoke, somewhat smiling. "Calvin, coming to my place tonight?" Locking eyes. The conversation between adults had been said clearly. Calvin extinguished his cigarette, chuckling. I suddenly remembered he was known for steering clear of women in the industry. I was about to say it was a joke, but to my surprise he agreed. Following my fingerprint to unlock, Calvin pinned me against the door. The next second his big hand cupped the back of my head, and he kissed me deeply. "Tiffany, easy with the biting." I furrowed my brows slightly. Could you stop talking now and make it so I can't talk? The entire night, Calvin showed me what trouble a loose tongue could bring. I only fell asleep in the early morning, but the phone rang. I couldn't open my eyes. I blindly reached out in bed. There was a soft laugh beside me as Calvin found the phone. Seeing it was a video from Felix, his expression immediately darkened. He handed me the phone, covering me with the blanket up to my clavicle. I answered, struggling to keep my eyes open due to sleepiness. Felix chuckled indifferently. You said yesterday men and women were done. What's with going to my mom to talk about Sherry the next day? Who went to your mom? Are you crazy? Coming to my place so early in the morning? What's gotten into you? My voice stupefied me as it came out hoarse. Felix asked in confusion, Are you sick? I forced a smile. What actor are you putting on? He realized the hidden message in my words and suddenly raised his voice into the phone. Where are you? Who are you with now? Felix, we are done. Where I am and who I'm with has nothing to do with you. I was too exhausted to talk further and just hung up. The cow in the bar, Felix looked upset. Felix, did Tiffany hang up on your call? Is she really determined to break off the engagement? Calvin joked, trying to lift Felix's spirits. No way. It's obvious she's just putting on a show, pretending to be with another guy to make me jealous and run after her. Such tactics are so cliché, Felix replied. The group burst into laughter, and Felix's expression improved slightly. The phone call had now completely dispelled his drowsiness. Calvin, observing the situation, commented, What's so great about Felix? He played around before marriage and he won't just stick to you after marriage. He's not worthy of you. Confused, I looked up. Calvin picked up a pack of cigarettes from the bedside table, lit one, and suddenly became serious. When it comes to marriage, my family isn't inferior to Felix's. Trying to understand, I asked, What do you mean? Calvin glanced at me and said, I know you've been wanting to land that project in the East District. It won't be easy on your own, but if we get married and work together, it will be much easier. Fully awake now, I hesitated for a moment and then extended my right hand, saying, Let's cooperate. 40 minutes later, Calvin and I walked out of the marriage registry office. Shall we go see clients now? I asked. Calvin raised his hand, patted my hair, and chuckled, Honeymoon. Diving into the deep blue sea, we explored the mysteries and beauties of the ocean. Beautiful coral reefs and schools of fish were within arm's reach. Calvin signaled for me to follow him underwater. As we descended to a certain depth and looked up, it was like a starry sky underwater. Back on land, the staff informed me that my phone had been ringing non-stop. I checked, and there were several messages waiting for me. Miss Tiffany, when do you have time to try on wedding dresses at our shop? Miss Tiffany, what kind of flowers do you like for the wedding? We can have them airlifted. Miss Tiffany, Felix has ordered a diamond ring for you from our store. Calvin, can you come in for a fitting? If the size is not right, we can adjust it. The mention of wedding dresses, flowers, and rings only deepened my frown. My phone number had been leaked. At that moment, the phone rang again. Seeing Felix's name on the screen, I answered the call. Where have you been? I've been calling you and your office said you're off for a month. Why do you care where I am? I retorted. Remember, we've already broken up. Felix brushed it off and chuckled. Aren't you mad at me because I organized a wedding for Sherry? I can do the same for you. You should have received the messages and calls. Just let them know what kind of dress and setting you like, and they will take care of it. I was speechless. Are you out of your mind? Although I couldn't see his face, I could imagine Felix's reaction to my words. Tiffany, you got mad over a wedding, so now I promise to throw one for you. What more do you want? Are you not done throwing tantrums? Felix's tone was harsh. This is your last chance. If you don't want to get married, then never get married in your life. Felix always gives you an opportunity. If you don't take it in time, then it's definitely your fault. You're already broken up. Stop calling me, marry whoever you want, I declared firmly. Felix continued. Tiffany, I gave you a chance and you turned it down. Don't regret it. Calvin, changing his clothes, asked, Felix's call? I took a deep breath and replied, he thinks I'm upset because of a wedding, so now he wants to organize one for me. How did I ever fall for this man? Calvin smiled but didn't respond. In the following month, we visited the mysterious Blue Ice Cave in Iceland and rode a hot air balloon in Turkey. On the day I returned to the country, Coco asked me out. I tried to cover the marks on my collarbone with layers of concealer, but it didn't work. So I found a scarf in the closet and tied it around my neck. As soon as she sat down, Coco poured 2 cups of wine aggressively, saying, "I'm so mad. Felix is insane. He rented all the electronic screens of the city's buildings to have A-list celebrities record birthday wishes for that girl named Sherry, and it's going to loop for a month. Has he even thought about your feelings?" I held my glass and calmly said, "I got married." Coco didn't believe it at first, but then she saw the marriage certificate and exclaimed, "Calvin? Isn't he notorious for not being interested in women? How did you manage to get him?" "It's not important. What's important is that Felix and him are not even comparable. I really want to see his reaction when he finds out you've married Calvin," I replied. Her anger from before disappeared. "We should celebrate this. I'll treat you tonight." Coco couldn't handle alcohol well and would get dizzy after a few bottles. I put down my glass, saying, "You stay here. I'll go outside and get you a sobering tea." In the hallway, I ran into Luke. He kindly approached. "Tiffany, you're here. Felix and the others are in private room 6. I don't have any ties with Felix anymore, so you guys have fun." Luke seemed to think I wasn't over it yet. What Felix did was indeed excessive. Just give him a chance to apologize in person. "We're in private room 6. I'll go ahead. Tiffany, come over later." To get to private room 3, I had to pass by private room 6. I heard a familiar voice and stood by the door, peeking through the crack. Felix was lounging on the sofa, his shirt unbuttoned, and Sherry looked disheveled. It was obvious to anyone what had happened. "Felix, I saw Tiffany at the door just now, and I told her that she can't get over you," Sherry said. "Sadie didn't expect Tiffany to resist contacting you for this long. It's only been a month. And after hearing that Felix threw a birthday party for another woman, she couldn't resist and came." Felix said coldly, "Who let her in? We've already broken up. Enough. This is probably the first time Tiffany hasn't contacted you for so long. Be careful not to stir up trouble," Sherry suggested. "Felix, you better ask this woman to leave soon, lest your sister-in-law gets mad again." Felix glanced over at the obedient Sherry. She lowered her head and softly said, "Felix, today is my birthday." I touched the scarf around my neck, took it off and pushed the door open. Everyone's eyes turned to me. The marks on my neck were too obvious. Even in the dim lighting of the bar, Felix could see them. He stood up abruptly and squinted. "What's on your neck?" I thought of how Calvin had marked me like a mad dog the night before. I smiled and said, "Love bites." Felix kicked the nearby table with force, the shadows in his eyes evident. "Who did it?" "Tiffany, you went out to find a man behind my back, right? What does it matter to you?" I retorted. "A proper ex should be dead," Felix coldly warned. "Tiffany, if I ever contact you again in the future, I'm a dog." Coco had the sobering tea and asked me, "Why were you gone for so long?" "I was about to go look for you. We heard banging noises from the next room, so I took care of something. Otherwise, there would have been flies buzzing around us, which would have been annoying. Let's go." Both of us had been drinking, so we called a designated driver. Soon after, the college student who had married Felix entered the entertainment industry. After achieving some success, she dared to hire internet friends to comment on our company's official account, saying, "Felix treats Sherry differently, willing to hold a grand wedding for her." I advise someone to leave on good terms. Don't be stubborn and cling to the title of Felix's fiance. The one not loved is the other. Can she just die off and let Felix and Sherry be? The assistant handed me a tablet saying, "Tiffany, should we delete the comments that are manipulating public opinion?" Back into Sherry's dark past, I informed the media companies we work with not to give her any resources. "Okay, I'll take care of it," I replied. "If Felix decides to intervene?" The assistant asked. "Don't worry about him. Just focus on the tasks I gave you." 1 hour later, Sherry's comment section was flooded. "You, a mistress sneaking around behind the scenes, is bad enough. But how dare you openly provoke the original owner? Sherry and I are classmates. She may look sweet on the surface, but she's actually a bully at school, taking advantage of her family's wealth to lead the bullying against me. I have many scars on my arms from her burns, and she even stole an award that should have been mine. Turns out she was the same in school. I am Sherry's substitute, except for the scenes that require her to appear on camera. She makes me do the rest, like dozens of scenes where she couldn't even film a third of them, either relying on substitutes or retouching in post-production. I am Sherry's assistant. There was a scene where she had to go underwater to pick something up, but she found the water too dirty and made the crew buy bottled water before she would go in. I have never been so exhausted, even when I worked as an assistant to A-list celebrities. Felix, aren't you going to answer your girlfriend's call? She's getting roasted by netizens. Tiffany still has that same attitude, holding grudges against everyone except you. Felix didn't respond to that question. Instead, he asked, "Has Tiffany called any of you these days?" The group exchanged a look and said no. Are you deliberately boosting Sherry to provoke Tiffany? Your relationship with Sherry is making headlines. Has Tiffany called you once? Felix, if you really want to reconcile with Tiffany, why don't you swallow your pride and give her a call? There's nothing to lose. What if someone else beats you to it? Just let her be. If she wants to break up, she won't be missed as my girlfriend. That night I received a message from Coco. Oh, I forgot to tell you, there are rumors in our circle that Calvin likes men. Is he into that? I couldn't help but laugh at the message. Before I could respond, a dark shadow fell over me. Felix. I looked up to meet Calvin's sly gaze. Tonight, let's see if I'm up for it. By the time I realized it, we were already in bed. Maybe it was the alcohol, but I felt my cheeks burning with desire, and when it peaked, I bit his shoulder. Outside, the rain poured down heavily while inside. Things were getting more ambiguous. Felix's phone, which was on the bedside table, kept ringing endlessly after one round. Calvin picked it up to look. It's Felix's. Want to answer? He asked with a red gaze. I shook my head. Tiffany, he's sticking to you like a band-aid. It makes me uncomfortable. Then you answer. To my surprise, I could see triumph in his eyes. As soon as the call connected, Felix's drunken voice came through. Tiffany, I'm so drunk. Come pick me up. I've been acting crazy these days. Why aren't you taking care of me? Calvin sneered. It's me. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Then Felix spoke through gritted teeth. Calvin, have you no shame? We're legally married, unlike you. What are you doing calling my wife late at night? Impossible. Then he lowered his voice. Tiffany, can you come pick me up? We won't fight anymore. I tried to sound strong. Felix, I made it clear to you today. You're just my ex. Calvin looked pleased. Without giving the other a chance to speak, I hung up the phone. Meanwhile, at the bar, Felix had been in the same position since he hung up the phone. I bet this time Tiffany won't look back. Enough. Let's end it. If you don't like Tiffany anyway. Felix didn't say a word. He grabbed his keys and left. No one could catch up with him as he was drunk and shouldn't be driving. Oh no. We lost sight of him. I bet he went to find Tiffany, and Calvin is there too. Things are going to get messy. Calvin looks so different from his usual self, too tempting. I inadvertently nodded. Just after sending it, there were plenty of people from our circle chiming in. Congratulations. You finally got what you wanted. But does Tiffany know you've been pining after her all these years? Calvin replied to a few comments before heading to the bathroom to shower. I heard an urgent knock on the door downstairs. I pulled the blanket over my head, pretending not to hear, but the knocking only got louder, as if the person outside was determined to get in. I walked downstairs in a black camisole nightgown, knowing who was at the door. I took out the marriage certificate from the cabinet and opened the door. My cheek was still flushed. Felix was drenched from the rain. Tiffany, I promise not to cause trouble anymore. Let's get back together. At the moment, I didn't think much. It was just a wedding ceremony after all, nothing to threaten your position, so I agreed. I leaned against the door frame, showing him the marriage certificate in my hand. I got the license. Just need to get married. When we have the wedding, I'll definitely invite you to the banquet. Calvin came down from upstairs wearing only a towel, putting his arm around my waist. Felix raised his fist. I considered you my brother. How can you go after Tiffany? Calvin grabbed his collar and punched him back. How many mistakes have you made? Don't you know? She put up with you for 5 years, and you've been driving her away all this time. The two men started fighting, neither giving in. Felix stood in the rain, his eyes moist.
Tiffany, I'm drunk.
Can you make me sober up? Calvin cursed and slammed the door. He pressed me against the door just as Felix kept knocking frantically outside. Tiffany, when should we get married? I want us to have a title. When you and Felix got engaged, the ceremony was grand, but ours will be even better. I kissed his lips. Okay, the next day Luke called me. Felix had crashed his car into a guardrail on his way home last night. The front of the car was totaled, but luckily he wasn't seriously injured, and he was in the hospital now. Tiffany, can you come and see him? He's not eating or taking his meds. He won't cooperate with the doctors unless he sees you. How many numbers do you have? The person on the other end hesitated. Just this one. I hung up and blocked him. Why did Felix come to me, his ex-fiancée, instead of his parents or current girlfriend when he had an accident? Luke showed him his blocked number. Felix, Tiffany really doesn't want you. She even blocked my number now. Felix stared at the chat box with dark eyes, saying nothing. Eventually, when no one was looking, he left the hospital. I've been busy with the East District Development project recently. One day, when I went back to the apartment to get some documents, I saw Felix sitting in the flower bed downstairs in the community, still wearing a patient gown. He saw me and cautiously called out, "Tiffany." I weirdly pressed my temples and asked, "What are you trying to do?" Maybe due to his illness, he looked slightly weak and said, "Calvin did it on purpose. He has had his eye on you for a long time. He wanted to break us up so he could swoop in. Do you remember back in school when someone put love letters in your backpack and you were so angry? That person was Calvin." What? Calvin during school was so aloof that no one dared to approach him for contact information, and he was the one who put love letters in my backpack. He was jealous that we were engaged, so he deliberately framed me. So are you suggesting that he forced you to date those female celebrities and college students? Was it him who pressured you to have a wedding? Felix lowered his gaze and avoided the topic. Tiffany, I caught a cold in the rain last night, and I'm feeling really uncomfortable now. Can I go upstairs to have a glass of water? No, I am already married. I replied. I dialed Felix's mom's number on my phone. All right, Auntie will be right over, she said sternly as she arrived and gave him a slap on the face. What are you still doing here, embarrassing yourself? Look at what you've done before. I can't even face Tiffany's parents. Get out of here right now. Auntie, I have a few important meetings to attend later, so I'll leave now. All right, go do your thing. I'll make sure to get him out of here. I nodded politely and left. Surprisingly, when I came back, Felix was still sitting there. He was wearing the thin patient gown, attracting the glances of passers-by. He was nonchalantly staring at the community gate as my car pulled in and quickly stood up. I took a deep breath, ignoring him and walking forward, but he blocked my path, holding out a jewelry box. I returned to him, saying, I never intended to give this bracelet to anyone else. Please take it back. I smiled, opened my phone, and found a picture. It was a selfie of Sherry wearing this bracelet. Felix hastily explained, the day you left, she said she wanted to see it, so I let her try it on for a moment. Not wanting to waste time, I pushed his hand away and went upstairs. When Calvin came back, I saw them exchange a few words upstairs and then started fighting. I hurried downstairs. Calvin, what makes you better than me? Are you brave enough to tell Tiffany all the things you've done? Your affair also involves my methods. That project in the East District was simply a scheme you set up for her. Tiffany, don't be deceived by him. Calvin nervously glanced at me. I held his hand, intertwining our fingers, and handed the candy to Felix. Next month, Calvin and I are getting married. You're welcome to join us. Back in the room, Calvin was still distracted. It was the first time I'd seen him like this. He explained, some of the things Felix said are true. I knew you wanted that project in the East District, so I deliberately used it as a lure to marry you. His affair was also my doing at the party, signaling the manager to bring the type of girls he liked in front of him. I'm not as good as you think. I know how to manipulate people's minds. I know what kind of person Felix is. Even without you, he would tire of that life soon after marriage and ask for a divorce. Calvin was shocked, asking, "Are you blaming me?" I chuckled. Of course, nobody married you after careful consideration. Many young girls would think about love alone. Watching Calvin relax his tense nerves, the East District project started smoothly. The preparations for Calvin and my wedding were also underway. One day, I was pondering whether to use all chocolates at the wedding banquet or mix various sugar cubes. A friend was live streaming and I clicked on it in confusion. Felix was kneeling on the ground, his torn pants showing at the knees. Step by step, he apologized.
I'm sorry, Tiffany.
Each step came with an apology. I remember back when we were just dating, he said. If I ever let you down, I will kneel to the highest mountain step by step. Witnessing this insane scene, I remained silent for a minute. I quickly called him on my phone, but Felix didn't pick up. Comments flooded the screen. After all, there weren't many chances to see a domineering CEO in such a sorry state. Late love is cheaper than grass. What's the point of putting on this act now? Didn't he change girlfriends every few days before? He was even hot with a female star the other day, and now suddenly he remembers his fiance. Tiffany's current husband is much handsomer than Felix. Have you seen him? I had to imagine that I looked at the man in the video declining phone calls. The mountain really had to be climbed on hands and knees at least a day and a night. Most importantly, it was too embarrassing. He kept saying sorry to Tiffany. Luke called. Tiffany, even though Felix is sorry, he's still running a fever. His body hasn't fully recovered. Could you show him some pity and give him a call? Instead of calling me, why don't you bring a few people over, knock him out, and take him back to the hospital? Felix is really being stubborn. He didn't care about other people's opinions. He ignored all phone calls and wouldn't listen to anyone's advice. Even when Luke and the others went, they couldn't do anything but watch him. Felix only reached the summit by the second night. He passed out due to exhaustion and had to be carried down by doctors. I received a call from Felix's mom while finalizing wedding details with my mom. Tiffany, Auntie is too embarrassed to come see you, but Felix really wants to see you. No one else can talk to him. My mom gestured for me to give her the phone. Nancy, my daughter is getting married. It might not be convenient for her to meet your son. How about this? I'll ask my son-in-law to go over. They know each other and are good friends. Maybe he can talk some sense into him. Felix's mom sighed. If that boy Calvin comes, it might provoke him even more. Let's just forget about it. At the hospital, I waited outside the ward. When Felix saw Calvin, it was like enemies meeting with jealousy in his eyes. Calvin, I never expected to be played by you. Ever since that first female star, I've been falling into your trap, unable to get out. You can't control yourself. Who's to blame? It's all because of your schemes that Tiffany and I got to this point. The garden outside was blooming. I took a walk, not hearing the rest of their conversation. I didn't know what Calvin told him. In the following days, Felix didn't appear in front of me. But I met Sherry a few times. Sister, can I talk to you? She kept her head down, her voice low. It was hard to connect her to the person who hired trolls to attack me on the company's official account. Sherry fidgeted and didn't speak for a long time. Just as I was about to leave, she finally spoke.
I'm pregnant.
I took a sip of coffee and replied, "What do you mean by coming to me? The child in your belly surely isn't mine, right?" Sherry looked up in shock. The child is Felix's, but he doesn't want it. Can you help me persuade him? I don't want anything. I can return everything he gave me before as long as he lets me have this child. You're looking for the wrong person. As a former fiancé, I have no reason to discuss this with him. And there's no need to pretend in front of me. Clearly, the child is more important than what Felix gave you. Sherry knelt suddenly. But his heart and mind are all with you now. If it weren't for you, maybe he'd let me have this child. His friends say I'm an exception. Only I can make him marry me, right? He even gave me a ring before, showing his intention to marry me. Felix has too many exceptions. Many people have received his exceptions. Many people have received the same ring. Just like your fancy pink diamond. Sherry couldn't believe it. That's impossible. You're lying to me. Everyone says I've been by his side the longest. You must be lying to me. Did Felix promise to give this ring only to you? Sherry was speechless, unable to argue back. He's not even willing to deal with you. Before Sherry could say more, I interrupted. I hope you won't appear in front of me in the future, or come to the company because we really don't know each other. After the assistant sent her away, he knocked on the door. Boss, don't listen to Sherry's nonsense. The child in her belly is not Felix's at all. My friend said she's been trying to get a new contract with the company since being sidelined. You probably know what methods she's using. I looked up at the assistant. Follow up on the East District project. No need to report irrelevant matters to me. On the day of the wedding, the weather was perfect. Friends were all there. Congratulations. We thought you were going to marry Felix. Didn't expect this. Today is Tiffany's wedding day. What nonsense are you talking about? I think Calvin is way better than Felix. Marco never liked Felix, especially not on a day like this. Sorry. I smiled and brushed it off. Go sit first, the wedding will start soon. The wedding scene was grand and solemn. Calvin specially had a wedding dress made. Every detail was hand embroidered, and the veil was almost 10 meters long. After the ceremony, I changed into a more comfortable outfit. Luke gave me the lucky charm Felix got from the mountain. Felix is regretting it so much now. He says if he could do it all again, he'd truly cherish you. Luke kept talking. I didn't notice Calvin's unpleasant expression. I smiled and separated the two of them. After a busy day, I lay down on the bed. Calvin helped me undress in the bathroom, leaning against the cold wall with mist obscuring our view. Before I could react, Calvin hugged me, showering me with a flurry of kisses.